Have you ever felt like your car has suddenly developed a serious drinking problem? You're visiting the gas station way more often, yet you're driving the same routes. Or maybe when you press the accelerator, your car hesitates, like it's thinking about it for a second before finally deciding to go. These frustrating issues, along with rough idling and even stalling, can often be traced back to one surprisingly small and misunderstood component, the mass airflow sensor. But don't rush to your mechanic just yet. What if I told you there are a couple of incredibly simple tests you can do right in your driveway to diagnose this, and a potential fix that costs less than a tank of gas? Today, we're going to break down the 6 telltale signs of a failing MAF sensor, show you how to confirm your suspicions, and potentially save you a whole lot of money and headaches. First up on our list of symptoms is the one that hits you right in the wallet. I'm talking about a sudden, unexplained drop in your fuel economy. You know your car, you know its habits. If you used to get, say, 7 liters per 100 kilometers, and now you're suddenly burning through 10 or even 11 liters on the same journey, something is definitely wrong. The MAF sensor's entire job is to tell the engine's computer, the ECU, exactly how much air is coming in so it can add the perfect amount of fuel. When the sensor starts to fail, it often sends faulty data, tricking the ECU into thinking there's less air than there actually is. The computer's response? Dump in more fuel to compensate. This creates what's called a rich mixture. Your engine is essentially choking on too much gasoline, which absolutely kills your fuel efficiency. A quick check you can do is to look at your air filter. If it's completely clogged, it can restrict airflow and confuse the sensor, leading to similar symptoms. But if the filter looks okay, the MAF sensor is your prime suspect for that extra pain at the pump. The second sign is one you feel in the driver's seat every single time you pull away from a light: poor acceleration and a lazy throttle response. You press the gas pedal, expecting the car to leap forward, but instead there's a noticeable delay. It feels sluggish, weak, and unresponsive. This is especially dangerous when you need a sudden burst of speed, like when you're merging onto a highway or overtaking another vehicle. The reason for this lag is the same faulty communication we just talked about. The ECU is waiting for accurate information from the MAF sensor about the incoming air before it injects the right amount of fuel. When the sensor starts to fail, it often sends faulty data, tricking the ECU into thinking there's less air than there actually is. The computer's response? Dump in more fuel to compensate. This creates what's called a rich mixture. Your engine is essentially choking on too much gasoline, which absolutely kills your fuel efficiency. A quick check you can do is to look at your air filter. If it's completely clogged, it can restrict airflow and confuse the sensor, leading to similar symptoms. But if the filter looks okay, the MAF sensor is your prime suspect for that extra pain at the pump. The third sign is a bit more dramatic. Are you suddenly leaving a cloud of black smoke behind you every time you accelerate hard or go up a hill? That's not just embarrassing. It's a clear signal that your air-fuel mixture is way too rich. That black smoke is literally unburnt fuel being spat out of your exhaust pipe. This happens when the failing MAF sensor convinces the ECU to inject far more fuel than the available air can properly ignite. This isn't just a cosmetic problem. Over time, this constant stream of unburnt fuel can do serious, and I mean seriously expensive damage. It can foul your spark plugs, destroy your oxygen sensors, and worst of all, clog your catalytic converter. A clogged catalytic converter can lead to massive back pressure, choke your engine, and a repair bill that could easily run you anywhere from $900 to $1,800. So if you see black smoke, don't ignore it. It's your car's way of screaming for help before a much bigger problem develops. Symptom number 4 is the incredibly annoying duo of a rough, unstable idle and random stalling. You're sitting at a red light and you can feel the engine vibrating or shuddering. You look at the tachometer and the needle is bouncing up and down, unable to settle at a consistent RPM. Even worse, the engine might just give up and stall for no apparent reason. At low engine speeds, like idle, the air-fuel mixture needs to be incredibly precise. The MAF sensor plays a critical role here. When it's not providing a stable and accurate reading of the low volume airflow at idle, the ECU struggles to maintain that delicate balance. The result is this constant hunting for the right engine speed, the vibrations, and the frustrating stalls. A great diagnostic trick here is the tap test. While the engine is idling, use the plastic handle of a screwdriver to give the MAF sensor's body a few light taps. If tapping the sensor causes the engine to stumble, change its rhythm, or stall completely, it's a huge clue that there's there's an internal electrical fault or a loose connection inside the sensor itself. The fifth sign is the very foundation of most of these issues: engine hesitation and misfires. You'll feel this as a stutter or a jerk when you're trying to accelerate smoothly. The engine feels like it's tripping over itself, especially during gear changes or under light throttle. This is the direct result of a combustion problem. The incorrect air-fuel mixture, caused by the faulty MAF sensor, means the explosion inside the cylinder isn't happening cleanly or efficiently. The engine misfires, meaning one or more cylinders fail to fire at the right moment. This not only robs you of power and creates that horrible shuddering sensation, but it also sends unburnt fuel and air into the exhaust system, which, as we've discussed, is bad news for your catalytic converter. Before assuming the worst, it's always a good idea to inspect the MAF sensor's housing and the air intake boot for any cracks or leaks. An unmetered air leak after the sensor can also confuse the ECU and cause similar misfire symptoms. And finally, the sixth and most obvious sign, the dreaded check engine light. That little glowing amber symbol on your dashboard is your car's way of telling you it has detected a problem and stored a fault code. When the ECU detects that the signal from the MAF sensor is illogical, out of its expected range, or completely absent, it will trigger the light and log a specific diagnostic trouble code, or DTC. If you have access to an OBD2 scanner, you can plug it in and check for codes. You'll likely see codes like P000 for a circuit malfunction, P0101 for range or performance issue, P0102 for low input signal, or P0103 for high input signal. Seeing any of these codes points you directly toward the MAF sensor system as the source of your problems. This is the most definitive proof you can get. If you clear the code and it comes right back after a short drive, you know the problem is persistent and needs to be addressed. So, what do you do? If the tests and symptoms point to a dirty sensor, the fix can be simple. You can buy a dedicated MAF sensor cleaner spray. Never use brake cleaner or carburetor cleaner, as they are too harsh and will destroy the delicate sensor elements. With the engine off, carefully remove the sensor, spray it generously with the proper cleaner from about 15 centimeters away, and let it air dry completely for at least 20 minutes before reinstalling it. Often, this is all it takes. But if you've cleaned it and the problems persist or return quickly, it's time for a replacement. A new aftermarket sensor might cost you around $60, while an original OEM part could be between $100 and $150 depending on your car's make and model. For some luxury vehicles, that price can climb towards $240 or even $300. But considering the cost of ignoring the problem, it's a worthwhile investment. By checking this one small part first, you can avoid a wild goose chase of replacing other components and save yourself from a massive repair bill down the line.